Where's your water? What's some water?
All right, Henry McClure live. We're back from the bathroom break. So I'm going to get us live on Facebook. It takes a little longer to ramp up Facebook. So I've been around Weimaraners my whole life. You know, if John Breyer, he had some of the first Weimaraners after World War II. If John Breyer would have just been a trainer of Weimaraners, he would have been a world famous guy. I'm telling you, he had some grand champions, some field champions. And the longer I stay sober, I'm beginning to understand him more. You know,
Well, he was sold a lot of insurance in his day.
he bought a lot of stuff down at Blackbird.
Yes, he did.
And Hefner.
Yeah.
Man, I remember back in the day, you could go down to Hefner and just put a note in the box, you know, what you'd pick up.
Yeah, they had to quit that as time evolved because people were putting a note in the box and taking 5 times what they were.
All right. Hey, we're back live on Facebook too. Tally has been able to get out and go to the bathroom. So I've got Brett Blackburn here in the Glass Houses studio, and
kind of missing Marshall Barber.
I do. I miss Marshall, but we're talking to. I've got a new writer that's going to join the media company, and so we've got 2 now writers on staff, and also Marty's got a deal worked out with the Oakland Express guy. We got him in .com, and hopefully we're going to modernize the Oakland Express for Charles.
Well, you know, the other thing is that's just another thing. We spent all that money on the Oakland Expressway, and we were going to develop it, and then we just let it die.
Well, wait a minute. How did it die?
Well, I mean, they build it with no foresight or no thought.
But it's a good ring road.
Yeah, it's a ring road. But what they should have done is they should have changed the elevations back farther to the south where they could actually have had some ingress and egress for properties.
Okay, I'm not saying that. You're not wrong there.
So, but
also too, was there a market for it on that side?
Yeah, you know.
Hey, have you been out to the MTAA? Oh, here, let me get one thing in here, because this is from the 4th generation Topecan who left for 18 years and came home. So this is the shell game that the Go Topeka, the Chamber, the Cabal, what they do. So the next big thing, you know, okay, it's downtown. And then it's the Commerce Park. And now it's the riverfront. And what they do is they create these next big things so they can get the so Greg Schwartz gets all the drawings going.
Don't say names.
Well, I can say his name.
Okay,
The guy's
right.
never called me. He's on the Riverfront Authority, and the guy's never called me back. So, and I can't call Jim Klossman anymore. He asked me not to call him.
Okay, well, the only thing so we don't get.
But you hear what I'm saying?
So
sorry, I'm getting in the weeds.
So we don't get off in that tangent.
I'm sorry, I'm in the weeds.
I will tell you this, that the Kansas River is largely a flood control river, you know, and you can't control the water flow. It's all controlled by the Corps of Engineers.
Right.
So if the Corps of Engineers says, you know, like for us, we're going to hold water in Tuttle and it floods thousands of acres, that's just the way it is because they don't want to flood people down. If they say we're going to release all this water out of Tuttle and Milford and wherever else, and you have, you know, the riverfront days going on, and it's going to end up flooding those areas.
Why do you get so uncomfortable? Why do you get so uncomfortable when I call people by name?
Well,
I mean, is it because you got more courtesy than I do?
I think I have more courtesy, but again,
I respect that.
We have powerful people in Topeka that call the shots for politicians. And the fact of the matter is, people that are elected shouldn't be politicians. They should be public servants. So what needs to happen is you need to have people not represent special interests, but represent the taxpayers. But when you
Hang on a second here. I'm asking for a job. I'm not running for office. It's 60,000 a year. Go to work for the people. They get for 60 grand. You've got a guy that's got more real estate experience than anybody. You know, it's one thing to make your money in healthcare and investments, and you look like a big deal, and you are a big deal. But at least Dana Anderson, who endorsed you and me, we made all our, I mean, he made all his money in real estate deals.
Yep.
And his partner,
he worked hard for it.
yes, he did. And his partner, Mace Siegel, worked even harder.
Well,
And
but I'll tell you, when I was on the city council, they paid you $10,000 a year, and I worked 40 hours a week on the city council. You know, they've since, you know, voted to double their salaries. You know, which at $20,000, at, you know, if you're really doing the job right, it's not that much money. But I don't know how many of them are really spending 40 hours a week on city business. But the county commission, I believe, somebody told me they just increased their salaries, or we're going to increase their salaries by their vote. I think if you're going to increase the salaries of elected officials, you got to put it to the vote of the people. Why not? I mean, you take the job at a salary. So if you don't, if you don't want to do it for that salary, then
don't run.
Then don't run, or put it on the ballot to see if the people want to give you more money. I mean,
oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Part of this show and is paid for by Shawnee County First Henry McClure Treasurer, because I did upgrade some of the equipment and building a new studio back there that's going to take some soundproofing. So there, I've covered my ethics and my the people that donated my campaign. Number one, I don't feel like I owe anybody anything, and they would be more than happy to have me getting the message out.
Well, and you know what's important is, you know, I told people when I ran for city council, the only thing that you get is you get somebody who's going to do what's right for the people. And there would be decisions that I would make that would be best for the city of Topeka, you know, all the city, not just specific parts of the city. And they would get mad and say, well, I gave you X amount of dollars. And I said, okay, well, do you want it back? I've got it in my campaign account. And then that would pretty well shut them up. But it's just one of those things where you know, I as a city council member, I worked for all the districts, not just my district. You know, granted, I came from the district that produced a lot of the tax revenue, but it didn't matter. I just did it. So that's the whole idea. The founders did not, they absolutely did not think that we were gonna have government based on people that make careers out of government. It's absolutely ludicrous. You were going to be the farmer, the doctor, the shopkeeper, the lawyer, whatever, who was going to leave, go up to Washington for 2 years, do your public service, and get back to work. They never envisioned a system where you would have 100% of people being lifetime politicians.
You know what I told Doug Kinzinger as he handed me a check for $218,000? I said, you're making a mistake. That's what I made that day with my deal with Dana K. And also too, that was $4,500 an acre less than what Bill Haynes got. But no, hang on a second.
Yeah, and 4,500 an acre, and you know,
we had 75 acres.
Yeah, 4,500 an acre more, which was basically double what properties were, with all due respect.
Well, yeah, but
not yours. I'm talking about the other guys.
Well, and I said, you know, you're making a mistake by taking Dana and I out of that deal. And where's Joe Ledbetter when you need him to remind people about everything that happened on 49th Street and trying to get it paid?
Well, you know, we can. The other thing is, I will.
Well,
say
some of it you got to bring up the past.
I know, but again,
it's part of my recovery.
but right now we still have to focus on how are we going to take this ship that's just running afoul, and the spending is out of control. And it's one thing if you spend a lot of money and get a lot, but when you spend a lot of money and get nothing, it's even worse. You should be able to do a lot with a little bit of money.
Well, I'm
right?
going to take this budget and I'm going to put it online, and we're going to get public input. I mean, we can't spend $100,000 to have our personnel director do research, hire a consultant to find out that we need to pay our people more.
Well, government is really good at doing studies, and I would always vote against the studies that they wanted to do on the city council.
Well, good. There's
Because
two votes.
If you have people that know what they're doing,
Hey, Bill, no more studies.
They don't need to pay somebody else to study this and study this. If you're in that position, you should either be the expert or you should know the expert, so you don't have to pay somebody to come in and tell you how to run the government. I mean, if you don't know how to run the government, you shouldn't be elected.
Well, that's an interesting thing. You're going to save $3.5 million in salaries from Go Topeka, the 14 people, and you're going to save the other 1.5 because it's going to all go in infrastructure, because you're going to hire these two guys. And plus, on top of it, I can do economic development better, because my deals all had to make money. It wasn't. I didn't have my job with Macerich for so long because I wasn't making them a profit. They wouldn't keep me around.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just, again,
Are
you shouldn't, we gotta keep, we gotta quit electing the same people over and over again, and you get the same people and you expect a different result. That can't happen.
Well, so
again, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this because I need a job. I've got a great job right now. So
I'm taking a cut in pay.
I'm just doing it. I'm doing it because I'm like sick of everybody else. I'm tired of paying these ridiculous property taxes and getting nothing in return. I mean, we have to have property tax, but when your property taxes go up and your services go down, that's absurd. And for anybody to say that government, can't cut taxes, they can cut taxes. It's not a revenue problem, it's a spending problem.
Well, we've got to provide infrastructure for the people,
infrastructure,
the public
safety,
and we got to have safety.
I
mean, Sheriff Hill
the
needs more money, and we're going to
to
need more money. We're going to have to figure out how to get him more money.
Yes, but you can get more money, but you don't have to raise taxes to get more money. The other thing is we're doing a very poor job in Shawnee County leveraging dollars. I'll give you for an example. We're doing $30.5 million worth of projects that we got to get done by July. Our cost is our basically cash outlay is going to be about $5 million. So that's a 6-time leverage. There's so many grants available, and there's also times where you can team up with the private sector to leverage all your dollars. But just saying, well, we got this money, we got this tax base out here where we can raise taxes. We'll just spend as much as we want. No, the better idea is, if you're going to spend money, make sure everything counts, but leverage it as much as you can.
I get a lot of input about my live videos, and I get a lot of input about my social media, and it's, to me, it's all good. I mean, I really wish we were doing this longer, because you bring a more stable, I fly off the handle from time to time, and I get in the weeds about certain things and bring up the personalities, but I think some of these people need to be called out. I mean, you can't not pay real estate taxes out in Lawrence Bay. You can't owe whether it's the city or the county or whoever, $8 million and then still get to be able to do business in this
Well,
community.
Again, what you have to do is you have to decide what is the best for the taxpayers, because we don't work for a mythical thing called the county. We don't work for whatever it is. We work for the tax.
Right.
Okay. And believe it or not, especially when it comes to property tax, everybody is a taxpayer. We have an affordable housing problem, and as property taxes go up and they're out of control, if you look at the property tax difference between now and 10 years ago, that's a lot of what, there's inflation, but a lot of these houses, they haven't done anything to over the last last 10 years, but the taxes have gone up and up and up. And that's why people's rent goes up. And, you have to really understand that it's more about growing the tax base, not increasing the taxes. And that's what happens if you've never done it before, which none of the people on the county commission have ever lowered taxes, ever, to my knowledge. And most people that are elected never try to lower taxes. But it's not, again, you grow the tax base. You don't just ask for more money and spend more money. It's simple. We have to do it at our homes, and everybody can't just afford to keep paying more and more. There are people in Shawnee County. I talked to a guy, sent me a text the other day. He said he's seriously thinking about, he's on a fixed income. He lives in Shawnee County for years, and he's thinking about selling and moving to Texas because, well, his property value came up, but he can't afford to live in his house anymore. And we shouldn't have that. You've got young kids that can't buy houses because our property valuations are going up. Well, maybe if we spend a little more time being reasonable about how we do our property taxes, that can happen.
Well, your experience on city council is so valuable. Your experience as a business person is invaluable. And your experience in finding all the roadblocks and mind-numbing policies that fight development in government will be it will be the way that we can change things. You and I both know the roadblocks that are thrown up. I mean, no.
Yeah,
No, let's talk about the building where you wanted to create an event. No, a venue. And then we got Bill Rapon wanting to build a saloon out there. But anyway, that's another thing.
I would just say this, that when they passed NAFTA and GATT, and it just created an environment where all these jobs left America. And in the Christmas,
Ross Perot called it,
in the Christmas and gift business, the bottom dropped out of the market and everything got outsourced mostly to China. There was at the time we were in the Christmas business, and about the time we were selling maybe over 100 different styles of Christmas trees, and they had all that business over the course of time got outsourced to China. And there's basically 4 plants in China and 2 in Taiwan that build Christmas trees, and the largest majority. Then there were a few American companies that still made Christmas trees, but they were really high. Topeka, same thing in the gift business. And Topeka was not a really high-end town. And so the gift and Christmas business got to the point where it wasn't worth having a 7,200 square foot gift store. So we shut that down, moved the rest of the retail business out to a store in the greenhouse, and we still moved all kinds of product, but we wanted to turn that 7,200 foot store into an event center. And after 9 months of trying to get the city just to say, and it's a simple, you have a code footprint when you do a building, basically tells you fire codes and everything else. And we had probably 3.5 times amount of egress, from the building that fire code requires. So about 3.5 times. And so, and that just counts that's obvious openings. So we spent 9 months trying to get the city just to say, please, just tell me, where do you want it? Where do you want it? One day it would be here. The next day it would be here. And we went 9 months through that process, and we said, this just didn't work. And Shindles was outgrowing their space, and they bought our place. And we sold them the buildings, and we retired. And then a few years later, we sold them the rest of the ground. But we would have been successful. The event center could have probably pulled $20,000 a month with the size that it was, but it got to be a hassle working with the city. And that's what happens with the city and the county, not 5 or 10 businesses, but thousands of businesses over the years that say, man, we just can't work. And we can't survive anymore. We have aging infrastructure. We have a little bit more urban sprawl. We cannot afford to not grow our tax base. And when I was on the city council, we wanted to widen California, to 5-lane, and all the major arterials in Topeka are supposed to be 5-lane major arterials.
Why did that die?
Because that's how you move. Because it just, in the end,
that was a good idea.
What they wanted to do is they wanted to do a 3-lane, and it died because there were those of us who believed it should have been a 5-lane, and they put in a 3-lane, and that didn't help. But what would have happened is, if we'd put a 5-lane in California, then we've gone and co-ventured with the turnpike to get an exit for California, and that would have saved California out there. Now, granted, Dobskis have done a great job with the McDonald's and some of those places, but the advantage that it would have been to East Topeka and even on out to Rockfire, if they would have just made that 5 lanes. And
who voted that down?
Just members of the city council.
Look at him. He won't call anybody out. He's such a gentleman.
Staff was against it. No, and
staff?
I say staff.
Who, that Todd Gergler?
Staff. I don't. Staff was against it, and in the end, some of us voted to kill the project at 3 lanes, which they've done now, which they did because we said no, we want 5 lanes, and in the end,
thanks, get on it.
And in the end, they spent all the money to put in a 3-lane, and what did it do? It didn't add to the development. If they'd had a 5-lane where they could move traffic, and it had people that maybe were coming across between the turnpike and I-70, it would have made that corridor invaluable, and all those people out there would have seen the benefits, and the city would have seen.
And that's where Chick-fil-A would have gone instead of the boulevard.
Yep.
And there would have been more east side.
And
2 years to get a Pizza Hut permit.
But when you say to business, we don't want you unless we really make it hard on you, you're not going to bring businesses in Topeka. They provide jobs, but more importantly,
no. Molly Howie says those are not jobs. Like a Pizza Hut's not a job.
Tell all the people that work at Pizza Hut, the managers
and Chick-fil-A
and everybody else.
Every deal I've ever done has never got any help from them.
But
those aren't jobs, Henry.
A lot of those are beginning jobs for people. And you know what though?
They got beginning jobs that go to Topeka. These people don't even 14 people, 3 or 4 of them don't even have anything on their resume. You're stealing the money there, Matt Pavarnak.
If we would, if people really want to know how we can increase everybody's wages, quit sending all the jobs overseas. But that's not a Shawnee County issue, right? Although you see county and city employees, muscling up and kissing up to the Chinese, and that's not what we need. We need them to kiss up to local people.
Yeah, I want to know.
And I don't care. I mean, I would, I'm not a crazy NFL fan, but I would say that Patrick Mahomes is probably the most popular guy in Topeka, maybe in Kansas. Probably one of the most popular people. And
look how we're treating him.
We're treating him saying, well, we want to do everything. First, we don't want you to have a light, and then they want you to have a light.
Well, let's not. This is one thing I'd like to sidestep right now.
We will do that.
I want to sidestep that, but I do want to know Molly and Matt should have to answer the fact, College Hill, well, that didn't create any jobs. Pizza Hut didn't create any jobs. Taco John's didn't create any jobs. Heritage Tractor didn't create any jobs. Yeah, I could go on more deals, well, those don't create jobs.
Well,
And then she's giving away money like the United Way. But Brett, what I really like about you, and I hope the voters do, is your stability. You've been married 38 years, you got 2 kids, you've been a family man. You've always lectured me on some of my behavior in the past, but not lately, except on this show calling people out. But I really want to thank you for coming in. And I know that it's getting late. It's 10 o'clock and you got some things to do.
yeah.
And if you haven't voted yet, early voting still at the election office till noon on Monday. And if you want to go out on Tuesday,
Vote
yeah,
vote in person, in paper, the safest way to
yes,
safest way to
and
vote.
vote for Brett Blackburn in County Commission seat number 3. If you see my name, vote for me. I don't have anybody in the primary, but thank you for coming in tonight.
Well, I appreciate it.
Did I talk too much?
In the end, it's all about people that run for office are supposed to serve the people. And when I say serve the taxpayers, everybody's a taxpayer when it comes to property tax. It doesn't matter whether you rent or whatever. Everybody's a taxpayer. And so government is supposed to get out of the way. They're supposed to give some certain people hands up, not real wealthy people hands up, but the government is supposed to provide infrastructure and public safety and the ancillary support of that. And then anything above that, and a hand up for the people that need it, which I think we can do with property tax. And we need to work on the mental health issue, but I got some really good ideas about that. But again, government needs to just get out of the way of people, get out of the way of business, and take care of the citizens. Do what the citizens want them to do, not what they want to do for the citizens.
And no matter what happens on the elections, you and I should keep doing what we're doing because we're on the right track.
Yeah, it's, every day's a new day.
Henry McClure Live. Who's ever watching on YouTube, thank you. I love you.